On this week's episode of Bayou Wild TV, we kick off a new season of adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage with a mixed bag of outdoor experiences. From South Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, and to West Florida, we venture out across borders, some familiar and some new, some near and others very far, to seek the thrill of the hunt, camaraderie, or maybe even a little rest and relaxation.
Closed captioning made possible by Explore Kayak Adventure Company. Fishing, sightseeing to photography tours, everything to make your paddling adventure happen. See Explore Kayak Adventure Company on Facebook and Instagram.
Every day, we strive to preserve traditions that have spanned generations.
Around every turn of the bayou, Mother Nature reveals unique people, places, and experiences.
And the bounty of animals and fish. Well, in Louisiana, we just call that lagniappe. I'm Don Dubuque.
I'm Chris LeCoq.
I'm Captain Martha Spencer. Join us as we document the adventure,
Sportsmanship,
and heritage that make us Bayou Wild.
The year 2020 was a challenging time for most of the world, but what we learned at Bayou Wild TV is that the best way to social distance was unplugging from the presence of the digital world to experience nature in its purest form. Families learned that time spent outdoors together created memories that couldn't be found cooped up inside or through a digital screen. For some, traveling to new areas to remotely hunt or fish was a welcoming challenge.
Well, anybody that does any hunting and fishing obviously winds up making lots of friends in the sport. And as a fisherman, I meet a lot of people that carry over into hunting.
But there's also just as much to do in your own backyard.
We've got 17 ponds around the state that are getting stocked with rainbow trout today and yesterday. Only time this opportunity presents itself is during the winter when water temperatures are low enough to something kind of unique that people want to come out and you know, they may not go visit states that have rainbow trout. They can come catch one in Louisiana.
For others, it was just a getaway to enjoy the fresh air or the beauty of a sunrise or sunset. There's a lot to see and do outside, and Mother Nature is open.
Oh, look at him rolling, he's playing for us.
Don't be that guy, unregistered, who catches a tagged bass and misses out on cash, a boat, or a truck. Don't be that guy. Sign up today at basscashbash.com.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
"2020 was not the year we all expected. As nerves frayed and people were forced to stay home, outdoorsmen and women did the only thing we knew how to do that would give us peace. We got outdoors. While some states even close national parks, many sportsmen hit the water and the woods. People figured out that they could safely get outdoors and not be too exposed and be too close to other people. And after a couple weeks of being cooped up, I felt the same way. I had to go on an adventure. After 4 months of canceled flights and lost adventure, I had had enough. Early August heat can be brutal in South Louisiana, so I took to the highway and found the cleanest, coldest water I could find in a 4-hour drive, Ecofina Springs in the Florida Panhandle. My friends and I filled our coolers and paddled lazily to a multitude of natural springs. This was the first time since COVID that I was away from fishing and not feeling stressed. It completely and literally cleansed the negative. From top to bottom, crystal clear views of little fish, underwater forests growing on rocks, and bubbles pushed out of the natural freshwater springs. We swam, we sunned, we paddled, and most importantly, we relaxed in the outdoors during a stressful time for humanity. "7 months into the nation grappling with coronavirus, I decided a proper road trip escape was in order. After 3 canceled trips, including our annual Cajun invasion to Alaska, I was over it. So I took some fishing friends upon an invite, and it was 10 hours west to Brackettville, Texas I went for my first bow hunting adventure of the season. Texas is a wonderful place to hunt, and no matter your stance on high-acre, high-fence hunting, it's always exciting to see a wide range of exotic species that have been brought to Texas. Rudy Ranch, formerly Mobley Ranch, is not only home to numerous whitetail, but many exotics like red stag, black buck, aoudad ram, fallow deer, and my target species, axis. I've shot several deer and killed several deer with a rifle, but there's something special, and I think any avid bow hunter will tell you that being that close to the animal that you are about to take or try to take, to where you can hear them chewing, to where you can see their eyelashes, to where you can see them, smell them, hear them, and be that close is a completely different element than when you're rifle hunting, shooting something 200 plus yards away. Sure, you may not kill as many deer, but it definitely makes it more special when you do. While the first and most vital part of bow hunting is finding the target species, there are more challenges such as shot placement and proximity to make an ethical shot. So when my friend Rick, who had shot a massive bull stag at 500 yards earlier that day, texted me to get to his blind immediately, I knew that he had found a worthy animal. I raced to his stand as quietly as possible, got set up on a solo, very old, very large, fallow buck. Later that evening, with the help of Texas tracking legend Roy Hines and his dogs, we located the buck 300 yards from where he was shot. This was the trip I needed to get me excited for hunting season, forget all the drama of the world, and immerse myself in the outdoors of a place a little more different from home. And I've found getting outside, whether through fishing or hunting, has really been my sanity for 2020.
Coming up next, we're going back to the beginning, hunting squirrels with an outdoor mafia.
We walked this flat yesterday. It looked pretty promising. The squirrels weren't down out the top of the trees. Looks like a different scenario this morning. It's not a good morning to be a squirrel, buddy, to come on down a tree.
Got the squirrel mafia, which was here today. We got the trout mafia. We got the red snapper mafia. We got the duck mafia. And of course the deer mafia. And you guys are welcome to go along with us anytime.
There he is.
My name's James Loop, and I won the 2020 Chevy 1500. It was first day at roughly 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. I was like, let's stay fishing, and she's like, nah, maybe we need to get back to the launch, you know? Yeah, I had a blast. It was a great summer tournament. Thank you, Super Chevy dealers, for my 2020 Silverado.
I've been using Louisiana fish fry products so much, even the kids are getting into it.
Clonio bag, pour and boil, a great crawfish every time.
And whether you're boiling crawfish, shrimp, or crabs, Louisiana fish fry products use the perfect blend of garlic, onion, spices, and salt for your seafood boil. So look for the bright yellow bag and pour and boil with Louisiana fish fry products. We're at the Sanctuary Lodge, Woodville, Mississippi, and some excellent squirrel habitat. And I gotta tell you, squirrel hunting really takes me back to 9 or 10 years old when my dad first introduced me to hunting through squirrel hunting.
Squirrel hunting with the dog is one of my favorites. When we were kids, a lot of us started out with a single shot 22 or a single shot 410, walking behind our daddy, walking behind our grandfather, and started out as kids and continuing it today. We like February, late January, when the leaves are off the trees. One thing about it, you've got to have the dogs. And we have Barry Sullivan with us today. He's got great dogs, and that will make it or break it.
If you've got some pretty good dogs, all you have to do is turn them loose, let the dogs go to work, and we're basically just there to go find them when they tell us they have a squirrel.
It's definitely a different game when you have those dogs treeing the squirrels and shaking the vines, and you know, you tend to see a lot more squirrels that way than you do just walking around.
They let us know that by barking loud, and then it's time for us to move in and do our job. The dog's done his job, it's time for us to do our job.
He's right here in that little But I tell you, today's hunt with this Squirrel Mafia guys, what a bunch of characters. Squirrel hunting in itself is exciting, it's relaxing, it's good exercise, particularly when you're following those dogs. But the real thrill and the real experience of squirrel hunting is with a bunch of crazy guys like the Squirrel Mafia.
There's plenty of squirrels, we're not gonna run out. And you can walk, you can talk, you ain't gotta worry about being quiet, and a lot of sheep. Love it.
How you going?
Now, you know, the dogs do their job, the shooters do their job, but one guy that really goes, I guess you'd say, underappreciated is a vine puller. It's a very tough job, and only a few people really have the skills to be perfect at it.
It's about vine selection. You get the right vine, you get a little lift, and then you got to drop those hips into it. You get good shake up top. It's something that takes years to acquire, but I assume that role, and I'm proud to say I'm the vine shaker. Then you stand back, and what you're looking for is to provide feedback on what you see with the team. You know, based on today, I'm gonna give you some feedback. We're gonna start with George Kendrick. That was the best part of the hunt. He didn't make it, he didn't go. So we're gonna call that a win right there. We're gonna move on to Drew Meir. Valuation on Drew in the field shooting, terrible, terrible. He's a 2 to 3 box guy on a squirrel hunt.
There he goes.
But we had all you heavy hitters with us today, so I just brought a 20 gauge. Whether it's 20 or 12, I'm gonna shoot a full choke and high brass fours.
I'd like to report, Jim, I think we harvested 22 squirrels, but of the 45 shots he made, he claimed every one was a kill. He's like Cy Robertson.
It's a totally different scenario than walking around and waiting for him to come down the tree, so it's a lot of fun.
Jeff Rogers, great looking physique, terrible shot. He's a 2 to 3 box guy.
I think it's the first one I got.
Brings me to one of my favorites, Chip Tatum. I like Chip. He was probably my favorite out the group. I'm going to give it honest. As far as shooting, he's terrible. He's a 2 to 3 box guy. Ain't none of them worth the crap. Really, it's just I'm at an elite level when it comes to pulling vines, and I just don't see a lot of hope for these guys, shooting or vine pulling.
Coming up, to venture out isn't limited to an outdoor experience. A recreational outdoorsman shows us how to cross boundaries in the kitchen.
Coming up, ossobuco with venison shanks with Nathan Judy's.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane can do that. When you are cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. Fuel for our future! I'm Miss Louisiana Courtney Hammonds. For more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Don't be that guy, unregistered, who catches a tag bass and misses out on cash, a boat, or a truck. Don't be that guy. Sign up today at basscashbash.com.
Welcome back. We're here with Nathan Judy's, who is kind of a self-professed, I would say, expert at wild game cooking. You're self-taught, though.
Yep, self-taught.
How did you get started in the wild game world of cooking?
Well, in the wild game, you know, I love to hunt and fish growing up in South Louisiana. And, you know, what better thing to do than have a lot of friends over when you have all this meat in the freezer from successful hunting, fishing.
We actually discovered him on Instagram, recreational chef, so go follow him, check out his meals. Everything will make your mouth water. Tell us what you're making today, because this recipe is one that can kind of sound intimidating, but really isn't.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite cuts off of a deer, wild hog. It's the shanks. So most people take the shanks and they'll just grind it. You know, some might even throw it away. They think it's not good. People think it's tough. They think it's tough. But one way to treat that is by braising it. Braising it long, slow, get a good hard sear on it first. And what we're gonna make here is ossobuco.
All right, let's get started.
All right, so first we'll just season our shanks with some salt, some pepper, and a little bit of herbs de Provence. And we're just looking to get a good sear on them.
That kind of locks in the flavor a little bit?
Yep, locks in the flavor, add some brown color. Get some good flavor when it gets browned on the cast iron for your veggies.
So what's the goal here with the searing?
So the goal here with the searing is to get just the meat browned. One thing you want to stay away from is the front or shin, the bone part.
Okay.
If you cook that too much, it'll kind of tear some of the tendons and your meat will fall off too much off the bone. And
So
you want it for
really
a presentation. Yeah, you want a really hot skillet.
Okay. Okay, so our shanks are browned.
Yes.
About 2 minutes on each side. They smell delicious. You can tell the flavor's getting locked in. What's next?
All right, so we're gonna take the shanks out and let them rest for a bit while we cook our vegetables. If you wanna pour those in.
Let's see if I can do this up.
Yeah, there you go. And now it may look like a ton of vegetables, but like I said, these are gonna cook down,
Yeah.
they're gonna add flavor. And we're actually gonna puree or use an immersion blender to get it real silky smooth, and it'll go great with our goat cheese and sweet potato grits that we're making right here. So when your vegetables start to break down, they'll get a little translucent, specifically your onions. Your carrots will get a little softer. Your tomatoes, your cherry tomatoes will start to burst a little bit. And that's all just them breaking down, and that's about what time you want to add your stock back and your shanks back, and then you'll let them cook from anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. One other thing that we're going to add when the vegetables get cooked is some tomato paste.
Okay.
That just helps bring out some more flavors. It has lots of sugar.
I love this recipe because it's so simple. It seems, you know, when you see it on a restaurant menu, it's a high-end dish,
Yes.
and it just seems so intense, but it really is the flavor of the meat and the vegetables, and that's more or less it.
Absolutely, and it's a cut of meat that people typically don't
They throw
think
away.
about using.
Yeah,
They
they
throw
grind it
away
up.
or they grind it up.
All right, well, when we come back, we are going to see the blended version, the immersion of the vegetables, and the final plate of our ossobuco.
Yep.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Welcome back. We're here with Nathan Judice, and we're making an ossobuco. It's been cooking down. It smells delicious. It's been about 3 hours since we braised these.
About 3 hours.
So tell folks what you did with the vegetables.
All right, so with our vegetables and our stock, we first took out our shanks, and then we used our immersion blender to get it silky smooth.
If someone doesn't have that, what can they use?
You can actually just ladle it straight into a blender.
Okay.
Be careful when you do that because it will create steam from blending it. So you might want to let it cool down a little bit first. But immersion blender is a good tool. You could leave the vegetables in there.
Yep.
Just blending it makes it a little, I mean, the vegetables are in there, but
Yeah.
you can leave it without blending
Visible.
it. Visible.
Looks
yeah.
more like a gravy here.
It looks more like a gravy. It's silky smooth. It will go great with the grits.
Speaking of the grits, we didn't really talk too
no,
much
we
about
didn't.
them.
So these are sweet potato grits. It's just local grits from Louisiana here in Baton Rouge, with some cooked sweet potatoes and some goat cheese.
Delicious, and a whole thing of goat cheese in here. So,
Whole thing of goat cheese.
All right, so I'll let you get this all plated up for us. My mouth is watering. This is one of my favorite all-time dishes. So much so that the deer that I've harvested this year, I've decided to keep some shanks on to do this.
Yes, and I like to bug my buddies whenever they kill a deer and
Right.
I don't. I like to steal their shanks if they're just going to grind them
Absolutely.
up. because
It's not that much meat though, in terms of ground meat.
It's
so.
not. It's not. But it makes an amazing braised or ossobuco.
Have you made this for many people? Do they beg for it now that they've
I
tried
have.
it?
My wife loves it, and if you want to ladle some of that
Yeah.
on there.
By the way, Nathan has a newborn, so that baby of yours will probably be blessed with eating lots of good food for
We
the rest
sure
of her
hope
life.
so.
How's that?
That looks good, and then we'll just perch the shanks right here. As you can see, they're falling off the bone.
That's how you want it.
That's how you want it to look.
Oh my gosh, this looks good. So there you have it. Never throw away the shanks.
Never
and don't
throw
be
away the
intimidated.
shanks. And also have some cornbread croutons to give it a little crunch too.
So this is my serving. We'll see what
This is
y'all.
your serving, yeah.
All right, thank you, Nathan. This looks delicious.
No problem.
One of the reasons why Double D has been around for 50 years is because we are consistent with what built the business. And we go to great lengths to make sure that when you bring a deer or a hog or whatever it may be, your meat stays your meat all the way through the process. But we want to be as true to the original intent, which is a local meat company. And that's something that we want to maintain for as long as the Lord lets us do it.
If you venture off to the road less traveled, unique sights are all around. Near or far, here or there, there's always adventure to be found. Try something new, take a look, or try a new way to cook. Take some time to admire what's there, step outside in the fresh air.
If you're apprehensive about it, just go out there and take a walk. Go for a walk in the woods, go to your local park, go to your national park, go to your local wildlife refuge, and just kind of get the lay of the land. Make sure you go to your wildlife and fisheries websites, figure out what you're doing is legal, and just get all the knowledge you can and go out there and enjoy it.
The sights out here are never the same because Mother Nature can put any modern marvel to shame. We encourage everyone to enjoy the outdoors, to understand why we truly love the adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage of Bayou Wild.